Mama. And I cannot stress this enough. Mia. I didn't think I would have two films in a row where I reuse the same crappy joke, but here we are.
If the boss says you are the boss, you're the boss now.
How are we supposed to appear strong when she is this?
You can't run away from your destiny.
I'm Donna Balbano, and I brought a little something special for everybody today. Ta-da! I made muffins!
And today we have Mafia Mama. This is one of those films that could easily go either way. First of all, as usual, and they're doing more and more of these, and I like the films they're picking. Unpaid thank you to Regal Cinemas. Woo, keep Cinemark alive. Yeah, Regal Unlimited. Subscribe today for a low but ever-increasing price. And thank you to the mystery movie thing, which they do once a month, but they're now getting staggered, so it's borderline twice a month. $5, you see a mystery film, and here's the kicker, it hasn't been released yet. I don't think there've been any bad picks so far. I've had a fun time, more or less, with each one that I've been a part of, even if I didn't love them. But this month's pick was one that I actually did plan to go see. I think by the time that I get this out, it'll still be prior to its release date. The whole premise of Mafia Mama, if you haven't seen the trailer, which, to be honest, I only saw it a couple times before I went to go see this film, so I get it if you haven't seen the trailer for it. But Toni Collette's, living a mediocre life, where she's just in like a sexist society, being cheated on and this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden, like, she gets a call from the Italian side of like her father's family, where it's like, oh, your grandfather died, come settle his affairs. He specifically requested you in his will to come and do this. And she gets there, there's a shootout at the funeral, shocker, and it's like, what's going on? It's like, oh, your grandfather was involved in basically the Italian mafia. They do everything they can to say, oh, well, this is just a family business. And then she learns the truth, like, oh no, her father was involved in the mafia, and her grandfather really was involved. They had fled to try to seek haven in a better life, but now, it's come calling, the Don's dead, you gotta run this stuff, good luck. Yeah, that stereotypical trope of like suburban white mom now trying to be like, oh, I have my glass of wine, I can hopefully go sleep with this Ricardo fellow, and then I guess we'll run a mafia, and then laugh track cues in. Director of Mafia Mama, here's the funny part, director is a Catherine Hardwicke. She's been directing many films for many years, most of which I'm unfamiliar with, but she did direct Twilight back in the day, so keep that in mind. I have no hatred for Twilight. It's given me two actors that I love, Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. You can shit on it all day. I don't love Twilight. This gal's been around for a while directing, if that tells you anything. So like I said, this film had me sold mainly because of the premise was interesting enough. It was rated R, so I also was like, okay, they could actually get a little bit like violent or inappropriate, a little inappropriate. And also Toni Collette, who I want to say, by the way, is one of my like favorites in terms of actors, but also in terms of like a powerhouse of horror cinema. And I think that she's been snubbed countless times. I've never seen a bad performance. I've seen bad or movies that have her in them, but I don't think I've ever seen her be bad in something. I love her. I think she's a gem. I think she's a phenomenal actor, actress, what have you. So she's great. I'll get right into it. This movie is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not like fantastic, and I hesitate to even say that it's great. Quality of a film, it's pretty good, above average, so you know where I'm going with the rating. I was laughing a lot, I was entertained a lot throughout, but not entirely, and this film is not without its flaws. I will admit, the movie is pretty funny. And again, I always say this, I know comedy is subjective. What makes me he might not make you ha, I get that, but sometimes I think comedy can, objectively be seen as funny or well-written or clever, and this film has a mix of comedy that does and doesn't work. I think for the most part, the comedy in this works. The situations are inherently, kind of silly, ridiculous. It is the Mafia, but they don't treat it, as seriously as, Godfather or The Sopranos or something, which, funny enough, they make mention to these franchises in the film, but, and people are getting shot and killed, not really tortured or anything, but there's killing happening, there's some, mild sexual content happening. I mean, there's definitely some swearing being thrown around and whatnot. Some profanity. What I loved was just watching Toni Collette, like, playfully, I don't want to say bumble around on screen. It has a kind of sort of character arc, but for the most of it, you know, she's smart enough, but she's also kind of ditzy and like, oh, this is cool. What is this? I'm going to Italy? Okay. And like, someone's being killed. She's like, oh, this is crazy. And just the reactions that she gives to a lot of this are what kind of helps keep me entertained and engaged, and her reactions sometimes are a lot of what the audience might be feeling. But it was entertaining. I liked her whenever she got excited about something that was going on, like the chance to like sleep with a guy, which, by the way, she's one horny bitch in this movie. Like, she's trying to fuck everyone. It's okay, like, it's fine. It was entertaining. It looked like she had a great time while filming this, and when those movies happen and it's not a bad movie from the get-go and it looks like everybody had a good time, then like that bleeds into the theater for me, and that bleeds into my experience, and I kind of vicariously have a good time with them. Like, I can just tell. I will say, as I alluded to, not all the comedy works. There's some of it that's cringe, which is, I mean, it's fine. Like, some, again, it's a generational thing. A lot of the comedy that works for people that are like my age group, like, that's a different comedy than some comedy that might work for like anybody going to go see 80 for Brady. I think that movie looks absolutely like a slog, and yet middle-aged women and men and people flock to that movie in droves, I'm sure. Like, I think I saw some crowds here or there. But that comedy, it's different strokes for different folk. In this case, I think for the context of an R-rated film about a mafia mama, most of the comedy worked. Some of it was often cringe and didn't quite land too well, or was cheesy, or just like... Funny enough, a lot of it was like too sexually charged. This film isn't a porno. We're not watching X over here or something. But I will say that while it's funny that she's trying to kind of sleep with, you know, a lot of different people, and there's a lot of like sexually charged conversation and all that, we veer dangerously into Ghostbusters 2016 territory. First 30 minutes of that film, I always say notoriously, is they work in a poop, fart, and a queef joke in the first 30 minutes. And this film, sometimes I'm just like, okay, yeah, we get it. She wants to get laid, but like, you're starting to detract from the narrative if you're just like so into the whole, oh, texting a boy, or oh, romance, or oh, my vagina? Yeah, vagina. Like, there's like a whole scene where they're doing like sort of boxing, kickboxing, and it's like, yeah, eat, pray, fuck, and it's funny enough, but at the same time, I'm just kind of sitting there like, alright, I'm chuckling, but like, alright. Look, it's pretty predictable, which is not necessarily a major con, but I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel here. When you realize what the plot is and how the comedy works from her bumbling through these situations and miraculously making out of most of it alive, and if anything, better off for it, you start to realize her character has all the plot armor. And so if you can shift gears in your head to, oh, will she survive this ordeal, and instead into a mindset of, oh, she's gonna survive it, let me see how this hilariously comes together, then you're in for a good time. Albeit, it's still, you know, predictable, and elements of the narrative are still rudimentary, to the point where there's even a clash towards the end of Act 2, which is character motivations get a little bit weird, and the scene plays out kind of weird, and it's kind of a weird, like, lower budget shootout than what I'm used to. I don't know, like, maybe I've just been spoiled with excellent cinematic experiences, but, you know, like I said, the film's not perfect. It doesn't always work sometimes. I don't have a whole lot else to say, I suppose. Is it worth it in theater? Could be a fun little, like, you know, if it's not your first date and you want to go out with your gal pal or your guy or whatever to go see it, then sure, why not? I get less theater vibes from this, and I get more of a rent it at home for like a night in. If anything, go out to your local pizza pastaria, load up on carbs, get some, you know, shrimp scampi, some fettuccine, some marinara, like get a whole Italian feast with tiramisu to end the night with, and some cheap wine or pricey wine if you're a bougie bitch, I don't know. And then you could totally stream or rent this, and you're gonna have a great time. There's enough in it for the guy to like it, enough in it for the girl to like it, or whatever your relationship paradigm is. I don't want to make any assumptions here, but like, at the end of the day, I can easily recommend this as a fun, mostly funny, pretty entertaining watch. Toni Collette's what sealed the deal for me. That wasn't all there was to the film, granted, but you could probably skip it in theaters. Like, you know, unless you really want to go see it, then sure, it's okay. It's like decent in theaters, but definitely stream it. Definitely give it a watch. I would easily give Mafia Mama a high 3 out of 5. I give it a high 3 out of 5. It is certainly above average. This won't crack my top 10 for the year. You catch me on a good day, I might go as far as to say low 4 for the film, but in my current headspace, having seen it several days ago, I'd give it an above average rating. I had a fun time. For a mystery film that I technically didn't pay anything for, but anybody who was like general public would pay $5 for, definitely worth the value in this reporter's humble opinion. But that's all I gotta say about Mafia Mama, so thank you guys and gals so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of whatever movie I review, and goodbye, travelers.